I like to do, I think it's number, oh, my wife is fixing my soul. Number 100, I've got Peace Like a River. And I know that some of the kids know, does anybody know the gestures, that Peace Like a River? Can you help us with it? Come on up. Okay. There's gestures to go with these. Anybody else? I figured you knew that. Okay. Yeah, and we'll all, so you won't be all by yourself. You just kind of help us out, and then we'll all sing along. So just, okay.
It's like usually peace, or sometimes people will do other stuff, but usually it's peace, like a river.
Like a river, right? So
and then,
peace.
yeah, and then it's...
Okay. Well, you do it.
Yeah,
you do it, and we'll just imitate you. So.
Okay, it's like
We'll learn.
peace, like a river, in my soul. And then it goes again.
Good.
You could do it while we sing it.
Yeah,
They can
and
watch
then we'll
you
learn
and
it
just
as we
follow
go.
you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's like,
Yeah, just face the front so they can see your arms and they'll follow you while we sing the song. Thank you so much. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got strength like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. There's two more.
Here we go. Fourth verse. What is it?
Tears like tears. Oh, it says tears like tears like raindrops. Raindrops. Oh, tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. My soul. Thank you so much.
One more. Go.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. I am Atticus Graysmith, a member of the Worship Associates Ministry. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and to call your attention to the special note for you, welcome guests and newcomers, on the back side of your order of service. Lyrics to hymns and all elements of the service may be found on the live stream screen for those of you online, and a complete order of service, including this week's announcements, is available via the link in the Sunday morning email and on the church website. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. I'd like to call your attention to a few brief announcements. Instead of our usual Sunday social following the service, please join us immediately following the service for a special lunch celebrating church anniversaries. If you have not already, I would like to remind you to please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience. Now, Rachel Rose is going to introduce this week's Share the Plate.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rachel Rose. Did you ever go to summer camp? Bonfires, camp songs, crafts, and lifelong friends. While this rite of passage is a privilege for many children, it's still inaccessible to many. When I was a kid, my mom couldn't afford it, so I could never go. For some kids, summer camp is not only out of reach because their family can't afford to give their child the experience of a lifetime, it is also unsafe because of gender identity. Harbor Camps, founded in 2009, now serves over 900 campers. It is the first camp for transgender and non-binary gender non-conforming youth. Their mission is to build confidence, resilience, and community for these kids through camp experiences. They have around 140 campers and 20 counselors in training every session. Campers say they feel more confident and more part of a community after camp, and it's not a therapeutic camp. It's purposely just camp, where these kids can be themselves, enjoy each other and activities in a safe, supportive environment. Living communally in a bunk with others, having face-to-face relationships with no electronics, participating in fun, challenging outdoor activities in a non-competitive atmosphere, learning that they are strong and have unlimited possibilities as trans and gender non-conforming people. They learn to be independent and to step outside their comfort zone, and they make lifelong friendships. Their Harbor Camp's goal is to never turn away a child who may not be able to attend for financial reasons. Each summer, they give out over $210,000 in assistance from donors. Please, please consider being one of these donors by giving to this life-saving, life-changing experience that should be a safe, fun experience accessible to all children. Thank you.
I would now like to invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 1028, The Fire Commitment, which you'll find in your blue hymnal.
From the light of day sweet comfort turns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith free from fear. When the fire of conviction
Before Atticus leads us in the call to worship, we are a full house this morning, and so I want to invite you, if you are on the end and there's any space in the middle, for you to please shift towards the middle to make space.
In Unitarian Universalism, we begin our worship service each week by lighting a small fire and placing it in a small cup, a chalice. Fire has a lot of meanings. It can mean passion, commitment, warmth, and love. In Greek mythology, it was Prometheus who stole a little bit of fire from the gods and gave it to humankind. Fire is a symbol of freedom, power, and creativity. Fire has been used as a symbol of truth, a light that shows us the way. In Judaism and Christianity, fire is a symbol for the Spirit. It symbolizes passion. Fire is mysterious. We can see it and feel it, even if we can't really touch or hold it. Fire is change. It can melt metal. It can turn sticky dough into delicious warm bread. Come this morning with the fire of passion and commitment. Come this morning with the fire of warmth and love. Come this morning with the fire of change and celebration. Come, let us worship together. You will find the words for our chalice lighting in your order of service. If you wish to do so, please join me in reading them. We light this flame for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we bring with our hearts while we are together this day.
Sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
This ain't heaven, help us.
To say my words might get me fired.
This ain't heaven, help us.
What a terrifying time to raise our voices.
This ain't heaven, help us. But see, I'm not left with many more choices. This ain't heaven, help us. I gotta put it into action. Action, action, action. Doing it A to Z until I set myself free. Action, action, action.
If you refuse to see, I gotta put it into action.
Action,
Action.
action.
To do this is a sign of an emergency.
Action,
Action.
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 Who's gonna do it if I don't do it?
So my brains are filled with fear.
This ain't heaven, help us.
So I feel the heat as night runs near.
This ain't heaven, help us.
O-A-C-T-I-O-N.
This ain't heaven, help us. Please don't stop if you're really my friend. This ain't heaven, help us. I gotta put it into action. Action, action, action. Doing it A to Z until I set myself free. Action,
Action.
action,
If you refuse to see, I gotta put it into action.
action,
Action.
action.
To do this is a sign of an emergency.
Action,
Action.
action. Who's gonna do it if I don't do it?
I'm tired of being scared. I'm so tired of being scared. Tired of being scared.
Scared for my children. I'm scared for our children. mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, A-C-T-I-N-G.
Gotta share the truth that's inside of me.
This is an emergency.
Of the highest and the fullest and the final degree.
I'm still trying to be free.
Don't let this separate you and me.
Oh, please. Who's gonna do it if I don't do it? Action, 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 action. Doing it A to Z until I set myself free. Action,
Action.
action,
If you refuse to see, I gotta put it into action.
action,
Action.
action,
Consider this a sign of an emergency.
action.
Action.
Who's gonna do it if I don't?
My name is Marion Hirsch, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at the Community Church of Chapel Hill. 2023 is the 70th birthday of the Community Church. That means the church was born in 1953. Do we have any people here who were born in the year 1953? Well, happy 70th birthday to you. You share the church's birth year. Brad, may I give you a 70th birthday hat to wear? What a great year. I love birthdays, of course my own, but what I really love is other people's birthdays, people I love. What I love about birthdays is that it is a day to really think about the things that you love about the person, and also to be grateful and happy that they exist and that you know them. That works for the church too. Today I'm taking some time just to be happy that this community exists, that you exist, that we exist together in this place. In my family, we have a tradition that on your birthday, people share memories from the very beginning, when you were born, when you were a baby, when you first came to join the family. And that is what I want us to do today for the church, to share some memories about the beginning. Our church began in 1953, 70 years ago. We're curious, right? What was Chapel Hill like then? Was there a church shortage? Did the community church start because there weren't enough churches? What was the situation? Well, in 1953, there were plenty of churches, so it wasn't exactly a church shortage. This is the story. Most of the people who founded the community church actually started out belonging to another church. They belonged to a big, fancy church in downtown Chapel Hill, right across from UNC's campus. You might have seen it. It's quite close to the post office. It's big and white, and it is one of those downtown churches that has a big, tall steeple. And it was called the Presbyterian Church. It was growing. They had to add extra services because it was growing so quickly. Students were coming in droves. Young faculty from the university were coming too. Why? Because the church had a great minister. His name was Charlie Jones, and a lot of people liked him for 3 reasons. First, he preached a good sermon, and as you know, it is very important that a minister preach a good sermon. But it wasn't just that. He was welcoming of different religious beliefs. He said in the pulpit that what was important was that people followed the teachings of Jesus: kindness, peace, helping the poor, working for justice, being fair, what Jesus taught. And he believed that it didn't matter so much what people believed about God, and this turned out to be quite controversial because it was a Presbyterian church. And like most churches, the Presbyterian church believes very specific things about God. In fact, at the beginning of a Presbyterian service, everyone is supposed to read out loud together a list of those things that people are supposed to believe about God. This list is called the Articles of Faith. And Charlie Jones stopped including this list in the services. Dun, dun, dun. Charlie thought it was important. He thought kindness was important, welcome, justice, caring for the poor. And he thought sharing Jesus' actual teachings was enough. Lots of people in his congregation agreed, but some didn't. Even more controversial, Charlie Jones was working for civil rights. He was inviting black people to the all-white church. He was supporting civil rights activists who came to town. He was working with the black community. And this is what really got him into trouble in segregated Chapel Hill. Lots of powerful people did not want things to change, and Charlie Jones was working for change. Some people in his congregation were working for change too, but a lot were against change. The people who were against change and wanted the church to be more Presbyterian and the town to be more segregated won this church battle, and they fired Charlie Jones and kicked him out. When that happened, about 50 people from that church decided that it was time to start a new church, a different kind of church. And that was a big thing to do. Starting a church is hard work. They didn't have a building, of course. They were small. They had to rent spaces for the first 5 years before they built this place to meet on Sunday mornings, but they were committed despite the challenges. They wanted to be a welcoming church that focused on doing good in the world as the highest priority. They wanted to include everyone in the church who wanted to be a part of the church, no matter what their beliefs about God, no matter what their race. They wanted to work in the community for desegregation and civil rights. Another problem they had was they didn't have a minister. So they asked Charlie Jones to be their minister because they liked him. At first, he was reluctant because he had had such a bad experience with the Presbyterian church. He didn't want to be fired again. He was a little brokenhearted. But when he found out that the new church was going to be an open church, that it was called the Community Church, he agreed to come and be the first minister. And that is the story of our beginning. I love thinking about those early days on this day when we celebrate. I am so grateful to those founders that started a church like this, a community church. And I think if they knew us, they would be happy to know that we are still open, still working for fairness, and still building community. Happy birthday, Community Church.
Marion, you took my papers. I will once again invite you to please stand and bow your spirit and join us in singing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire, which you'll find in your gray hymnal. Number 34.
Though I may speak with
Good morning. My name is Thom Belote. I'm the minister here at Community Church of Chapel Hill, and I am so proud to be the minister of this church that so many great souls founded back in 1953. And I'm actually a little bit jealous that Marion got to give out a fancy birthday hat this morning. What's that, Kat? You left a fancy hat for me to give out too? Yes. So Marion gave out a hat to celebrate something that happened 70 years ago, the birthday of our church. And I'm going to give out a hat to celebrate something that happened 30 years ago. And so I wonder, do we have anybody here who is exactly 30 years old, who was born in 1993? Maura! Come on and... You don't need to keep it on if you don't like to, Brad. You don't have to keep yours on either if you don't want, so. I'm so glad that we had somebody. So actually in my notes here I say, oh, no one who's 30? What about 29 or 31? What about 28 or 32? I actually wrote it down so that I didn't have to do math on the, but thank you for not making me read that part, Maura. So what I'm going to talk about happened exactly 30 years ago, and it isn't really a birthday, but it was an important new beginning, and it is important to celebrate important new beginnings. As a church, when two people get married, we celebrate their commitment with a big party known as a wedding. And when a baby is born, we celebrate their joining the church with a child dedication. And when a new minister comes to the church, we celebrate the new ministry with a fancy service called an installation. So what happened 30 years ago? What happened 30 years ago was that this church decided to join and become a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. Exciting, right? And I'm going to tell you the story of why that happened and how that happened and why we celebrate it today. Marion told us the story of how this church was formed. And this new church in Chapel Hill did a lot of really, really good things. The Community Church of Chapel Hill worked for peace and justice right here in Chapel Hill, and they worked for peace and justice all over the world. The Community Church of Chapel Hill served people in the community and helped feed the hungry and to house the unhoused. And the Community Church of Chapel Hill did all the things that a church does: religious education for children, choir singing, worship services, and taking care of each other. But there were a couple of problems. One problem was that it was hard for this church to explain to other people what they were about. We would say today they didn't have much of a brand. When people would come to Chapel Hill, they might hear about the community church and not be sure what that's all about. People would say, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's all about. They might say, oh, I know what the United Church UCC is about, and go and visit there. Or they might say, I know what the Quakers are about, and so go to the Quaker meeting. Or they might say, I know what the Unitarian Universalists are about, so I'm going to drive over to Durham and go to Eno River UU Fellowship, because I know what the Unitarians are about. Community church, I don't know. I'm not sure what that's all about. The other problem is that it is hard to be alone and have to do everything by yourself. This was especially the case for the church when they had to find a new minister and they had nobody to help them with that. And so they had to figure out how to do it themselves. So new people weren't sure what the church was really about, and the people who had been here for a while had to do everything all by themselves, and they were getting tired. And in the meantime, the church had gotten smaller, and they faced a big decision. What do we do now? It was a big decision, and so people began to meet and talk about that. There were some people in the church who thought, we don't have much of a future, so I think what we ought to do is close the church and sell it, and everybody can take a little bit of the money that was raised and go home. And that was something they considered. Thank goodness they didn't decide to do that. Other people said, no, we don't need to close the church. We just need a little help. We need to find a partner to work with us. And so the members of the church looked around at all the other options, and they decided that Unitarian Universalism seemed like the best option. It was a good match. It was a good match because the Unitarian Universalists were also, like Charlie Jones, not that interested in believing the exactly right thing about God or about Jesus. The Unitarian Universalists were more interested in things like kindness, peace, and being welcoming. It was also a good match because Unitarian Universalists also cared about service and being welcoming, which is what the church was founded on. And so 30 years ago, the community church had a bunch of listening sessions and took a vote. And in 1993, they voted to join the Unitarian Universalist Association. And joining really helped the church to do a bunch of things. For one thing, there were ministers all around the country who were interested in coming to the community church. And this church found a wonderful match in Reverend Charlie Cast. So they got we celebrate his legacy. So first, Charlie Jones and Charlie Cast. There is no rule that ministers need to be named Charlie, but it helps. So they found a minister by joining the UUA. Another thing they did was that it gave community church an identity. We could say that we were Unitarian Universalist, and people knew what that meant, or at least if they didn't, they could look it up and figure out. The third thing that joining did was give the church resources. Now, some of those resources were really boring, but important, like a retirement plan for ministers, and a health insurance plan, and things like that, but boring things can be important. But some of those resources were really exciting. Being a Unitarian Universalist church meant that we could offer our whole lives, which was exciting. And being a Unitarian, Kat, you get to always get the most excited person in the front row. And being Unitarian Universalist meant that we got to partner with Unitarian Universalists around the state and around North Carolina on important projects like voting rights. And so that was 1993, 30 years ago. And I want to share one thing that I talked with one of the people who was here 30 years ago and told me that when we voted to join, we did two things. We sent a delegation of people to Charlotte, which was where the General Assembly was that year, and we got celebrated by the whole denomination. And then the new president of the Unitarian Universalist Association came and welcomed the church at a special service, and he said, "You were born in 1953, now it's 1993. That makes you 40 years old. So I say to you, you've been wandering in the desert for 40 years. Now welcome to the promised land." Which is something like that. I'm not sure if that was actually I know it's something he would say. It's not something I would say. But so what I want to do this morning is I would love to sort of honor and recognize and give us all a chance to see. So if you were here 30 years ago in this church, 30 years ago, and you may have attended those meetings, you might have served on the board, you might have been helping with those decisions, would you please raise your hand and maybe stand up, and we'll have an opportunity to stand up. Wow. And I'm just gonna, and Polly, would you keep standing for a minute? Because Polly Johnson, you were the board president, correct, in 1993 when the congregation took that vote. And so it was your efforts above and beyond that helped us all to celebrate this anniversary that we are celebrating today. So I think about it, so we've thought about 70 years ago, and we've thought about 30 years to go, and now we think about today and what commitment we bring with us into our next 30 years and our next 70 years. And with that, I'm going to ask for Atticus, our worship associate, to come back and introduce the offering for us this morning.
Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, there's a QR code on the back of the order of service, and there's information on the church's website. Today, our generosity extends beyond our walls as we give to today's Share the Plate. Remember that you can donate online, or if you are writing a check for the harbor camps, please write STP in the memo line. I wanted to add a personal note of encouragement today. I am genderqueer, and I cannot overstate the power and importance going to accepting progressive camps, summer camps, had in my life growing up. And this is a beautiful and amazing thing that we're supporting here today. So thank you. We will now receive the morning offering.
Good morning. I'm Kat Good, hat maker, owl enthusiast, and meditation specialist. So this morning, I need your help making a list. I see lots of quiet children, which I appreciate, but now is your time to shout out things that you need for a birthday. Cake. Friends, balloons, hats, parties, ice cream, a playground birthday party, and candles. Yes, yes. And noise. You are such good list makers, much better list makers than me, because the only thing I came up with was time, community, and hope. which are admittedly abstract, and I like your suggestions more. So let's try this a different way. Close your eyes and think of your best birthday. Maybe it started simply with someone you love wishing you happy birthday. And perhaps there was a party and you got to enjoy a special meal. Maybe someone made you a cake, or you got to share a special treat with your friends. There might be presents and cake and candles for you to blow out and make a wish. And I bet if you concentrate really hard, you can almost hear the familiar tune of Happy Birthday. Okay, you can open your eyes. The church birthday is not so different from a personal birthday. We started this service wishing our church happy birthday, happy 30th and 70th birthday. And after this service, there's going to be a birthday luncheon with a special meal. Your presence today feels like a gift, and I heard there's going to be cake. All that we're missing is candles, wishes, and that familiar song, and time, community, and hope. But maybe they'll be revealed. So for our meditation today, let's remedy that. In a moment, you're going to receive a colorful candle with 2 pieces of wax. One long piece of wax represents our 70th year as a congregation, and the shorter piece of wax represents 30 years. Oh, that actually sounds a lot like time. That was from my list. So when you open your candle care package, I want you to rip the tape and not the paper so that you can use this as a wax catch, because we are going to light these candles on fire. So once you have finished decorating your candle any way you want, you can make it special and unique just like you. These wax sticks press really nicely into the candle, so they're fun to play around with. You can just push them on. Then you just put it into the hole. And if you have a very little one, you may want to work on this together, because we are going to light these afterwards. So now, thank you for being patient. The person on the inside of the aisle can reach down for a basket and pass candles throughout. You can take a candle, and if you are at home, please take a minute to locate a candle yourself so you can join in the next part of our meditation. And if you have extras, you can send them to the back where we have more people. Did you get your candle? will stay lit. I have language for it. I see a lot of beautiful birthday candles. Can you hold your candles up? You look like cake to me. Now that we have these beautiful birthday candles, we're going to light them. We're going to pass the fire of commitment, which is a phrase we've been hearing over and over throughout this morning. We're going to pass that fire of commitment from the chalice throughout the sanctuary. And if you are at home, please light your candle too. Instead of each person coming up to the chalice and lighting their candle, we are going to pass our light from candle to candle. Atticus and Thom are going to help us. And this part actually sounds like community, the second thing on our list. Now that our birthday candles are lit, you know what to do. What comes next? We have to sing happy birthday, but let's do it with a twist. I'm only allowed so many you puns, and I'm spending it at the start of the year. Let's sing happy birthday to you. Glenn is going to help us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to the community church. Happy birthday to you. Now, before you blow out your candles, I want you to think about a wish, because a wish is like hope, and that is the final thing on our list. So take a moment to think of a birthday wish for this community, and when you have, you can blow out your candle, bringing hope to this community.
I will one last time invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, number 118, This Little Light of Mine, which you'll find in your gray hymnal. Please remain standing in body or spirit. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Let us go forth with open minds. Let us go forth with loving hearts. Let us go forth with helping hands. Let's thank all of those who contributed to making the service a worshipful experience. And lastly, please join us in singing Shalom. The words are in your order of service. As you are comfortable, please either hold hands with the person next to you or cross your arms over your heart.
Thank you.